Hi there, everybody. It's Barry again from Turning the Page, and it's just great to be in your ears again. Hey, last week I missed out on doing an episode because, if you hadn't realised, our little dog Miko ran away, and so it was like just sheer drama for about 2 days while we hunted and scoured our local area here where I live, and it's countryside and there's bush, and we couldn't find her, and I was driving forever and ever, and my son put out 350 letter drops, and eventually she turned up about 5 kilometres away, and she'd run that in about an hour and a half, and she had blisters on her little feet, but she's back with us now, and everything is returning back to normal. And today I'm going to be talking about, the title is, Are You Strong Enough to Be My Friend? And if you knew me, would you still love me? This is what someone said to me. We all need others who will be strong enough to handle what comes from the inner world of each other. When they had opened up, they looked at me and wondered if I would reject them. So many others had. And there's a song by Sheryl Crow. I'm not going to sing it to you, but here are some of the verses. I have a face I cannot show. I make the rules up as I go. Just try and love me if you can. Are you strong enough to be my man? When I've shown you that I just don't care. When I'm throwing punches in the air. When I'm broken down and I can't stand. Would you be man enough to be my man? And that's Sheryl Crow, and the song's called Are You Strong Enough to Be My Man? I like Sheryl Crow lyrics. I know the person she's writing about. You know, I've met them many, many times, all with different faces and varying stories, but underneath the macho or the makeup, there is an inner world of struggle and outer behaviour of throwing punches in the air. Look, this person wants to be known, explored, discovered and touched, but is there anyone strong enough to be able to do this with them? They want their failing movements into the world acknowledged and affirmed, but that requires honesty and openness. They have a beauty, too easily self-dismissed, and they long to be embraced and cherished. You know, being strong enough is to admit our weakness, that we don't have all the answers, and that we are also stumbling in the dark. It's not so much the blind leading the blind and both falling into a pit, which is what Jesus said, Matthew 15:14. It's more, I've got dirty glasses on, so perhaps I can walk beside you and we can find a path. Are you strong enough to own the weaknesses in yourself, that you don't have it all together? It can look very dark and ugly when people get real about their inner struggles. Their darkness can creep up over you like an all-engulfing shadow that wants to swallow you up. I've listened to those places. I've seen the black hole of despair and felt the pull. You want to run because you don't know what to do. You always want to be able to do something, but it's in the act of doing seemingly nothing, of just being there, that you're offering the most precious gift, your presence. You hold a flickering candle of hope for them. It's a compelling vision that things can be different, that one has to pass through the night before the first beams of a sunrise can caress the face, that with the right direction another step can be taken forward. This vision is not something grand and over the top. It's more that things can get better a little bit at a time. It's achievable. There's some consistency. People who are strong enough say something like this: I don't have a perfectly clear plan of what is required to help, but I'm going to be consistent in turning up. I will be there. It's being honest about how much can be offered and then following through. People who might make up the rules as they go need those who have a solidness to them. It's a consistency that they might rail against, but it's in this relationship a mutual respect may develop. Man enough to be my man. Well, what does it mean to be man enough? Well, the Hebrew word for male is zakab, and means to be one that remembers, recalls, and calls to mind. It's one who remembers and then moves into the chaos of the world facing them. Being man enough is to remember the truth and goodness, and then moving with grace and purpose and presence into the world of those who are broken down and can't stand. You don't have to be macho to be a man. Can you do this? Are you one that is strong enough to help another pilgrim with a heavy burden? I believe you can. Love deeply, care wisely. Here's some quotes. ManSheryl says this: compassion is not a relationship between the healer and the wounded. It's a relationship between equals. Only when we know our own darkness well can we be present with the darkness of others. Compassion becomes real when we recognize our shared humanity. Compassion means, that was from manSheryl, compassion means entering the suffering of another in order to lead the way out. That's Rosaria Champagne Butterfield. Stephanie Kahn says that talks easy, works hard. Consistent, trustworthy behaviour over time equals trust. Notice the word consistent is emphasised. Consistency is the key to the process. And another one, it's from Terence Real. Love acts like a giant magnet that pulls out of us, like iron filings, every recorded injury, every scar. Love that quote. Richard Rohr. It takes immense courage to walk in solidarity with the suffering of others, and even our own. Here's a couple of questions. Number one, what strength do you fall back on when faced with someone in struggle? 2, what's it like to not have all the answers? 3, what have been the qualities you have seen in those who have been strong enough for you? I hope you found this podcast helpful, this little message I have. You can come over to the website, turningthepage.info, and you can read it there. Maybe you can share it with some of your friends. And I'd like to hear about you and how you're responding to this podcast, about being strong enough. And you can come over to turningthepage.info and leave a comment there, or you can email me, barry@turningthepage.info. And I hope you found it helpful. You may like to actually support what we're doing here. And if you like to support, it's really easy. You come over to turningthepage.info/support, and you can see a whole range of ways in which you can be part of what we're doing. Hey, until next week, may you keep on turning the page, and grace and peace to you.